I've been back on YouTube for nearly 2 years, and it's insane that I haven't made a video talking about the game series that literally shaped half of my online identity. A series that means so much to me. And this series is none other than Team Fortress! Yeah, fun fact, the hat and sunglasses that my avatar wears is based on the Tough Stuff muffs and gray bands from Team Fortress 2. It's a look I'm fond of due to the use of all-class cosmetics that provides a consistent look across all classes. Except Pyro, because putting a plunger on them is peak comedy. This game is important to me because, like many people, it was my gateway to proper PC gaming. But I am not going to be talking about Team Fortress 2 because I am deathly afraid of the TF2 content creator rabbit hole. So let's talk about the other half of my identity. This pink freak. It's so nice being a Kirby fan. I can only imagine how other fan bases look at us getting this many games, and the worst they end up being is just sort of mediocre. And to that I say, your greed is hurting the economy! That being said, it was pretty annoying how the series took 26 years to finally release a 3D game. Okay, a 3D platformer. A 3D platformer that isn't a spin-off. There we go. Anyway, this is the topic for today. Kirby and Forgotten Land was a fantastic entry in the series, although I have to admit that it had some strange quirks, like, damn, it feels so weird that it doesn't have staple abilities like Beam or Parasol. The performance was also pretty shaky at some points, and damn it, it would have been so funny if Delphin was actually a twist villain. Okay, that last one isn't actually a problem. I'm just utilizing the rule of thirds, because as the internet guy in your machine, I am contractually obligated to do so. These problems could have easily been addressed with a sequel, but I guess I'll have to settle for a glorified DLC pack via the Switch 2 version, featuring the Star-Crossed World campaign. Launching the game, we see a difference right off the bat. The frame rate has been increased from 30 to 60 frames per second. It's not a game changer, but playing this game with a buttery smooth frame rate is a solid upgrade, especially in the world map. But what about an actual substantial gameplay addition? No, addition! Fuck. Well, that's where the Star-Crossed World comes into play. Entering the world map causes a cutscene to play. A heart-shaped meteor has landed in the Forgotten Land, splitting into multiple shards and causing an island to form in the sea. Kirby, Elflin, and a few Wildies come to investigate, including this new character, Astronomer Wildy. He's been doing a little research off-screen, and believes this meteor is the Star of Darkness, which is capable of bringing untold destruction. In order to prevent this, Kirby must rescue these little scrimblows called Starries, who keep the star's power sealed. I gotta say, it's surprising that the story opens up with these kind of stakes. Usually Kirby openings are something like, oh no, Magolor's ship has broken down and we need to retrieve the missing parts, or oh no, King Dedede has stolen the Dream Rod and now the residents of Dreamland can't dream, or oh no, Kirby's cake got stolen and now Dedede must pay the price! And then end with some evil cosmic force being revealed as the true villain. This campaign opens up what I expect to be revealed at the end of the game. Then again, it's probably just because this is a significantly shorter story, so why bother saving for the end, right? With our objective laid out, it's time to collect the Starries scattered all over the Forgotten Lands. And with this comes a new set of levels, 2 for each world. Now, if you looked at the trailers for this game, you might be inclined to believe that these are just remixed versions of existing levels, but make no mistake, these are completely new stages. Only the initial room of a level is reused, with a change in level design coming from the shards of the meteor, causing the route to drastically change. Crystallized paths may elevate you to what was originally an inconsequential building. Going down a water's current leads you to a cave system that wasn't even a factor originally. Or my favorite example, the seas part to reveal a new path, like Moses parting the Red Sea with a Beyblade. Another thing that makes these new stages so cool is the addition of these big starry flowers, which when destroyed dynamically changes the stage by adding coins, enemies, and new level geometry. This is such a cool gimmick, emphasized by the otherworldly sounds that come from the starry flowers. Like, just listen to it. But aside from these changes, it's essentially just more levels added to Forgotten Land. Starries are just Wildies, and each level has 3 missions to complete that also grant Starries, alongside finding the ones hidden throughout the level. This is fine if you enjoyed Forgotten Lands campaign and wanted more of it, but if you have no desire to play more of the same, then the Switch 2 version isn't going to be an easy purchase. One thing that's super disappointing to me is that no copy abilities were added. nor did they add new upgrades to existing abilities. I'm not sure why this wasn't a no-brainer for Hal. Like, it didn't even need to be a brand new ability. It could have been a returning ability. Like, we could have gotten a 3D version of Fighter, Sand, or Spear. Hell, that last one would be the easiest to implement since you can use Bandanity as a base, as he's already in this game for the co-op mode. But you know what we did get instead? New mouthful modes. Spring allows you to jump super high and do a ground pound, but forces you to constantly bounce, like Mario Galaxy's own spring power-up. Sign turns Kirby into a snowboard, used specifically for these slide sections that test your reaction time. And my favorite of the bunch, Gear. This allows for wall climbing. On the surface it doesn't seem that crazy, but if you dash off the edge of a wall, you launch Kirby off and have the option to reattach to a wall with another dash. This gameplay loop in particular gets addicting fast. Now, don't get me wrong, I enjoy the mouthful modes about as much as the next guy, but I can't lie. Compared to copy abilities, these are pretty shallow, and seeing Kirby completely mutilate his body on a set of objects doesn't quite have the same impact as the first time. I would have preferred a new set of abilities over this. They could have easily added a room in the weapon shop over on the left for new abilities, and their upgrades could have given the Starry Coins an alternate use since they're only used on the new set of gacha machines Astronomer Wildly has on him. But ultimately, that's just a nitpick. I still really enjoyed my time with the new levels, and actually having levels I can use Morpho Sword in on my first visit is a cool perk, I suppose. But let's talk about that finale, and the sheer amount of implications it has on the franchise. So, after beating all 12 stages, Kirby returns to the Star of Darkness, witnessing the Starry seal it away once more, which works for about 5 seconds before failing horribly. Seems like someone didn't learn from the Realm Reborn trailer. The Star of Darkness awakens, absorbing the stars in a manner that's quite familiar. And the reason it's so familiar is revealed almost immediately, as once it absorbs the last of the Starries, it takes the shape of the base game's final boss, referred as the Parastella Chrysalis Genwell Meteonophilis. Jeez, what a mouthful. Now, before you write this off as a lazy reskin with some extra effects plastered on, let it be known that this has a new phase completely unique to this version. After taking down phase 1, Genwell absorbs the power of the surrounding crystals, fucking explodes, and becomes giant, and he uses his size extremely well, slamming his giant hands on the floor, causing energy to burst out of the ground, launching a cluster of crystals from afar before rushing in and detonating them with his tail, to opening a portal just to grab a building and use it to crush the ever-loving shit out of Kirby and make him play hole in the wall. Another thing to bring up is that for Kirby standards, this fight is not a walk in the park. Even with a fully upgraded Space Ranger, the big fuck is way tankier than expected, and I actually had to use an item in reserve. Even then, my health was still low by the time I beat this phase. Oh yeah, there's also a third phase, where after Genwell's body fades away, the core resting on his head remains, and if you're familiar with spherical shaped final bosses in the series, you can probably see where this is going. Thankfully, this is more of a desperation phase, as the core has fairly simple attack patterns and is built like Asuka from Guilty Gear Strive. After all 3 phases go down, the Starries are released and successfully seal Genwell back into the Star of Darkness. Before it fails after 3 seconds, you get phase 4! Nah, I'm kidding. It actually works. The Starries give their thanks, and they return to space to keep the Star of Darkness at bay once again. So, the first thing that was on my mind throughout this entire finale was, why did the big bad take the form of the base game's final boss? Well, if we want our answer, we have but one place to find it. In standard Kirby fashion, we must get our juicy story details from the arena, which conveniently gets a 4th cup after beating the Star-Crossed world. And I know just the ticket to get a free victory. Fully upgraded Morpho Knight Sword, double life, extra damage, speed boost, and reserve maximum tomato. Let's go! So far, the arena has been the same as the previous one, with the exception that the mini-bosses have been replaced with their crystallized versions and feature the Galactals. I don't like them. some songs from previous games have replaced certain bosses, which I bring up because for Morpho Knight they used Void Termina's boss theme, which totally isn't strange because it's not like Star Allies had a theme for Morpho Knight. It was also the game he debuted in and also had 9 other themes for the 9 Dream Friends that were added after the game's release. Yep, nothing strange here. Lastly is that Genwell is placed right before Chaos Elfilus, which is important because there's one major difference with Chaos Elfilus, and that is he uses Genwell's spear, giving him the new title, Lord of Chaos. Surprisingly enough, this version of Chaos Elfilus isn't just the same fight with Genwell's attacks added to his moveset. There's actually some new tricks thrown to the mix. When he flies by, driving his spear into the ground, not only does he get accompanied by 2 clones, but he leaves a trail of crystals that linger for a while. He'll spam crystal projectiles into multiple portals, and his meteor attack has him sending a second meteor onto the first one, causing it to shatter and fall over the arena. And the same applies to the soul phase, creating copies of the beast pack, the fireball attack going from an attack where you climb a staircase of rubble to creating pillars to hide from the boss's blazing heat, and creating these elemental eyes that can damage the boss through the shield it just created. Like, what the hell? How did they make an already awesome final boss even cooler? Anyways, the reward for beating this arena is a figure of Elfilus and Genwell, revealing that the two are brothers, and after Elfilus's defeat, his older brother manipulated the stars to send him to the Forgotten Land. The part that really intrigues me is that Elfilus was classified as the ultimate life form, yet his brother was the one that the stars sealed away, implying that he is much more powerful. And given the boss fight, I'm inclined to believe I'm right about that. Not only that, but he was specifically sealed in a crystal heart. You know who else was sealed in a crystal heart? Void Termina, who is the character who has some insane connections. Hell, if we remove the heart thing from the equation, we come to Galactonite, whose name is awfully similar to the new mini-boss, the Galactals. Does this mean that the stars were involved with his original sealing? I could go on, but I feel like if I do, I'd say something completely wrong. Besides, Kirby lore is something I consider a cool bonus than a main talking point. But before I finish up, there is one more detail I need to bring attention to. You may have noticed that the song playing right now is named The Falling Star Now Pierces the Lagrange Point. I'll really decide I need to one-up the title 2 Planets Approach the Roach Limit. And I can guarantee that the second I saw the words Lagrange Point, I immediately Googled it and found myself on the Wikipedia page, which says it's the point of equilibrium for small mass objects under the gravitational influence of 2 massive orbiting bodies. In extremely simplified terms that peanut brains like myself can understand, it's the point outside a planet's atmosphere that's a prime location for satellites. And the moon. Thanks, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, for teaching me about random space facts. So that's Star-Crossed World. Obviously I really like the whole campaign, but is it worth $20? I don't know. If we end up with new copy abilities, it would have been an easy recommendation, but as it is now, I can only really recommend this to Kirby fans or people who really love Forgotten Land. But hey, if you're unimpressed with this, great news! The blatant self-promotion book in Kirby's Home now includes Return to Dreamland Deluxe and Dream Buffet. Why'd they bother with this? Who fucking knows? Let's go gambling!